The best stories generally start with the most well-developed, relatable, and likable characters in them. And when something tragic happens to those characters, it should have an impact on the audience or the readers, whether it's a book or a piece of film or television. But not so in the case of Star Wars: The Acolyte, because when they kill off a bunch of Jedi in the 5th episode, nobody cares.
Renegade Online.
Because how did we go from this is, or otherwise, this is how bad it is. The setup, and let's get into the episode. The setup was so bad. And Alan, this is really why I wanted you here. Because you saw Acolyte episodes 1 through 4 as part of your early access. Mm-hmm. You were left with the cliffhanger. So this week's episode, this was the first one that was totally new for you. Yes. So I really want to get your impressions because we lost quite a bit of the viewership, about maybe 10% or so, 20% or 11, I think it was 11%, excuse me, 11% of the viewership from last week when they set up a cliffhanger.
That's like, almost as much of the cast we lost.
Yeah, it's like you would have thought this episode, the big battle, the battle to end all battles, the biggest Jedi battle since the Phantom Menace and all this stuff.
If only we hadn't shot it behind trees in the dark. Darn it. Where was the fog? We could have made it even better. We needed a fog.
Almost like Disney doesn't plan their FX shots, and that's why they have it always dark in the background.
Yeah. Let me remind you that JECKI was stabbed in the chest with a lightsaber. So she's still alive. I mean, that's
well, she was stabbed in the chest. She was stabbed in both kidneys, the liver.
They didn't bury her.
The lightsaber cauterized the wound.
Yeah,
they didn't bury her.
No, did you see how fast the memes came out of JECKI sitting up in a hospital bed with bandages on her, going, "I'm cool." Yeah, I mean it really is true. But this is how it starts. We jump right in from the previous episode. The fight is going. New Jedi Sith Lord thing here. He just waxes 5 Jedi like that. Jedi Masters, Jedi Knights, they're gone. They're dead.
Red shirts.
Yeah, the red shirts from Star Trek. They were there to be cannon fodder. We knew it the week before. But again,
I would say we barely knew thee, but we didn't know any of them anyway. So
nobody cared.
Can we go back to the title of this episode? So I didn't. Yeah, just night. Last week was day. This is night. Yeah.
Oh, this is very creative. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for your genius.
Yeah.
Episode 6 is going to be breakfast.
And after that, brunch.
Yeah, brunch.
And then second breakfast, dinner, supper. He knows about those, right? Okay. Lord of the Rings jokes, guys. Lord of the Rings jokes. But no, you look at this, and if you watched my reaction video to this, as soon as I had it paused on this frame, I was like, oh God, please kill him. Please kill him. Just kill him. Kill YORD. Please, I'll give you money. Just have something redeeming in this show. Please kill him. But if we get this inexplicable fight where the experienced Jedi Masters, you know, it's one at a time. They go in and fight him. They all die. And then JECKI, the teenager who's still in a class with, 14-year-old Padawans, goes toe-to-toe and hand-to-hand combat with May and the Sith Lord. We'll talk about that in a minute, which was so stupid. That took me out of it. Oh, but Obi-Wan did it, the Phantom Menace. That was Obi-Wan. We knew who that was. There was some gravity there. He was a prodigy or a protege, and he was like at the very end of his Padawan time. He was also in. They had knocked Darth Maul and kind of worn him down a good bit with him and Qui-Gon Jinn. This was just like a one at a time thing. This was different. The characters were not set up at all for this, and I don't understand. This is the one thing that's baffling to me. Maybe because we're older than some of the crowd that's really fallen in love with this show.
That's a 3-letter word, and no one has fallen in love with this. Watch your mouth, sir.
Yeah, we're not 20. Okay, is my point. We're not 20. We're a different generation. We're an older generation. And I'm so thankful to be.
Apologies to everyone who's 20 out there and who's being claimed to love this thing. He knows not what he says. He knows not what he says.
The 20-year-olds that do love this thing. Look, everybody that's posted about this show that they love it seems to have been kind of on the younger side. Fine, I get it. But explain to me how you've fallen in love with these characters, because there is nothing there. They're as flat as planks of wood. I mean, they are just boring as
well. I mean, I'd watch a Jedi barbershop now. I mean, the haircutting styles will be just amazing.
Yeah,
that was so bad.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually mocking the best of what this episode is. It gets worse as you go on.
And people said, well, you know, they would cut the ponytail off of Padawan and all this kind of stuff before, and it's the way she did it. She had the lightsaber under her chin. I mean, if you paused it on that frame, literally the lightsaber was touching her, and she drags it straight up her face. It's like, no, no.
I like the smell of hot plasma on my chinny chin in the morning.
There's so many implications too, because May switches places with Osha, but May has the witch tattoo on her head.
Yes.
So Soul would look at that and go like, when the hell did you get a face tattoo? And then at the same time they show what's his face, Kamir, with Osha, and he's looking at her, and it's like, what happened to your head tattoo? And why do you have an arm tattoo? It's like, did you guys even try? And then we're supposed to believe that like May knocked out Osha and then switched clothes with her and then put her clothes on Osha. And then the fact that
it's not that kind of show, Endymion. It's not that kind of show. You're applying logic to it.
Let's even go to the fact that they specifically, the villain says that, what's his name? Soul knows how to read minds.
Yeah.
And okay, so they'll give you some excuse. Well, May has blocked him from reading her mind, but I'm pretty sure just natural discernment, like on a human level, would pick up this isn't the same person.
Not that kind of show, Michelle. No human discernment involved in this one.
Yeah.
And you want to add even more insult to injury. Soul leaves the planet, leaves Yord and Jecki's bodies to rot, and he leaves all of their lightsabers just laying there. So he's leaving basically like military hardware weaponry for anyone to just come and grab. Like there's just a bunch of dead Jedis.
Well,
Leslie was inspired by our exit of Afghanistan when making this episode.
And we see how I guess May's emotions have not progressed since the time she was a little girl, because just how she was like, "Don't ever leave me. I hate you. You should die. I'm going to kill you," as a little girl. And this episode, she's having the same thing. Like, we're supposed to be together, and then she's just like, bye Felicia, and leaves her sister there to die with her master. It made no sense.
Well, how many months ago did we laugh and say they're going to do the Parent Trap? They're going to do the Parent Trap, and oh my gosh, they did the Parent Trap.
In fact, I saw a clip of episode 6 where May calls Osha to kind of get information on how to act like each other, make sure that they get the accents right. And,
they'll get their lesbian mommies back together again. Don't you worry.
And then not even adding the fact that like Kamir has a helmet that has this expanded universe metal on it called cortosis that apparently is able to disrupt lightsabers, which is just, I understand it exists, but like that is such a broken concept in Star Wars. It's equivalent to the whole in The Last Jedi when they had the one starship like go into FTL into another ship and like use a black hole to destroy it. And then you're thinking to yourself, like, well, if you could do that, why didn't you just send like a single like X-Wing into the Death Star, go FTL, and then a New Hope's over? You know what I mean? Like these kind of things ruin these stories. Because now that cortosis is a thing that they're bringing in, why didn't Darth Vader and Palpatine have cortosis? I'm pretty sure that would have helped. You know,
to that end, and I had to step away. I'm sorry. One of my dogs was like going absolutely nuts in the background. I didn't know if you could hear squealing. Somebody just came in the door. But to the thing of cortosis, I am sick of hearing from people out there on Twitter, well, it was in the EU. It's a thing. It's been around. I don't care. It wasn't introduced in any of these shows that Disney has done. This idea, and this has been discussed a lot. I get it. But this idea that you have to go read a coloring book or a novel or some random comic book or something that Disney Star Wars made, or an EU book from 20 years ago.
Limited edition 8-track only released in Iceland.
Yeah, no, this is just bad writing. This is part of the show that's just irritating, and not just the fact that okay, you want to have a super metal. At first I thought it was Beskar, and then I noticed, wait, is it shorting out lightsabers? Oh, this is okay. And then somebody was explaining. It's like, okay, set this up. They could have had a scene. They're in this town where Khmer is he takes over this drugstore or something in town. Why didn't he take over a blacksmith shop? He could have taken over a blacksmith shop or something and said, oh, yeah, have you ever heard of cortosis before? This stuff's really cool. I don't know. Do something. Put something in the first couple episodes. But it was just
so I'll tell you a funny story, Valiant.
And wait, hang on a second. It was just...
Go ahead.
It didn't work. And the other thing that didn't work was it also part of the EU? And I genuinely don't know. Was it also part of the EU this stuff could block Jedi mind powers? Because that apparently was also a thing in this show.
The Magneto helmet you're talking about?
Yeah, the Magneto helmet.
Yeah. I don't know if it can block it, but the way I understood is like because of the fact that it can deflect lightsabers, they just came around about ideas saying, well, I can block lightsabers, so that must mean it can also block the Force, right? But it's like, but lightsabers and the Force aren't technically the same thing. Like the Force would have existed long before lightsabers did, so that doesn't make any sense. So it's a roundabout way of saying that it's all bullshit, basically.
Yeah, it's all being made up on the spot, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So on the Acolyte after party on the pro show, we do this as soon as the Acolyte ends, and we have one of our panelists, Lauren Connor, who many of you out in the audience know. Lauren's on, and he's not watching the show, and he doesn't watch it because he no longer wishes to watch anything made by Kathleen Kennedy. But he's a great person to have because he represents the audience at large. 85% of you out there are not watching this. Neither are the people watching the Acolyte after party. But Lauren is an expert. He's the best mind I've ever met anywhere when it comes to Star Wars knowledge. So he knew about this cortosis thing as soon as we were describing the show. And he said, oh, well, if lightsabers are being, having problems turning on and they're being deflected, that could be cortosis. And it would cause there to be a slight powder in the air. And somebody on this panel said, what about 2,000 square feet of it, like the salt on the planet from the sequel trilogy? And Lauren just kind of, blinked into the camera a few times, not believing that this is the level of stupid that we have to deal with. And that's what I love about this show. Any time it does anything that you say, well, that doesn't make any, or it really shouldn't, or no. The answer is always, it's really not that kind of show. It's really not that kind of show. There's no logic here. There's no lore here. Everything can be bent. Bad Twin has a different impetus for doing what she does from scene to scene. She has no personality. It's all fungible because the person writing these characters has no idea what she's doing. The only thing she's been doing is setting up poor victims for... Never mind. I won't go there.
No, but you're right. And this is the thing. And there were so many problems. I mean, episode 3 was just terrible. It was cringy and awful. Episode 4 was terrible in a different way because we get these inexplicable shifts in character motivations, specifically May. And then it happens again in this show. Again, and I can't figure it out. How May has gone from, I hate the Jedi, to, I'm going to turn myself into the Jedi because I saw my sister live, everything's cool now, to literally 15 minutes later saying, I hate the Jedi again.
There's no consistency. She's also able to apparently kill a Jedi Master in Indara in hand-to-hand combat, but then a Padawan like Jecki is able to restrain her. It's just like there's no consistency at all.
None.
That's like Darth Maul losing to, I don't know, Rey when he first meets her or something.
Can we talk about how strong Jecki's elbows must be? And Demian, how strong must Jecki's elbow be?
Somebody said
she knocked off a cortosis helmet off of a Master Jedi Sith, whatever the hell he is. Like, it's just, I don't understand. For me personally,
she had that Hulk-like rage to help.
Yeah, this episode for me personally, I thought it was the best episode just because of the combat. But as soon as they opened their mouths and the story started to happen, it immediately regressed back to the previous episodes. But like, if everyone just kept their mouths shut and just kept fighting, I'd be like, yeah, it was like fun to watch, I guess. It's seeing the Sith kick the shit out of everybody. It's fine. Mm-hmm. But as soon as they open their mouths, you're just like, okay, now this is not good. It just gets more and dumber.
No, and
Longer
people
goes
were
on.
trying to argue about, well, it wasn't really her elbow. She hit it with the butt of her lightsaber. I'm like, so
come on.
what
we
difference
have
does
to
that make?
constantly be making excuses for the show. That's the problem.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.